You've probably wondered how long will it take for me to really learn this language? I know it's such a common question, and honestly, I've asked myself this question so many times while learning English, German, and even a bit of Arabic. But language learning is not a straight line. There's no point where after a certain number of hours someone give you a certificate saying you are fluent. It's a much more personal journey than this. But let's dive into what we know. Based on research, it takes around 600 hours to reach basic conversational proficiency in languages like French or Spanish or languages that are pretty close to English, at least for native English speakers. And if you're thinking about more distant languages like Chinese or Arabic, we're looking at a bigger time investment, over 2,200 hours. And let's be real, it makes sense. But how about learning English, German, or French as a non native English speaker? This is the big question. And honestly, it's hard to give a one size fits all answer. If you're learning English, depending on where you're starting, it can take anywhere from 700 to 1500 hours to get to a comfortable level where you feel like you're really using the language. I remember how that felt for me, and I bet you do too. It's those moments where you catch yourself thinking in English, or when you watch a movie without needing subtitle for the first time. Those are huge milestones. German can be a bit more complex, but it's not impossible. It might take closer to 1000 to 1800 hours, depending on how much time you can immerse yourself in the language. And it has its own tricky rules and those long compound words that can feel intimidating at first, but once you get the hang of German, there is that beauty in how logical it is. Now, hundreds of hours might sound like a lot at first, but think of all the little ways you can get those hours in. I mean, you're not just drilling grammar or repeating vocabulary lists. No one learns a language like that. Those hours could be from chatting, reading a book you actually enjoy, or watching a show. So it's not about cramming those hours into a timeline. It's about what you do with those hours. And it's another fact, the further a language is from your native one, the more time your brain needs to adjust to completely new sounds, grammar, and even cultural context. But don't let that number scare you. It's not a countdown clock, it's a journey. Let's get real for a second. Consistency is where the magic happens. It's not about how many hours you squeeze into a day, it's about showing up day after day, even when you don't feel like it. Some days you're just not going to want to sit down with your flashcards or work on that grammar that's been giving you trouble, and that's okay. What matters is that you keep coming back. Learning a language is like building a relationship. It's really similar. It's it grows through time, through small regular interactions. And the method you choose are so important. Some of us learn better by watching TV and absorbing the language naturally, and others need to sit down and do more focused study. I found that mixing both is the sweet spot for me, and I'm all about using what feels good to you. And again, language learning isn't one size fits all, so don't force yourself to a method that makes you miserable. One size fits all. I recently learned this phrase and I really wanted to use it somewhere. Speaking of things that aren't one size fits all, immersion is another game changer. It's when the language become part of your daily life, whether it's listening to podcasts while you're cooking, reading articles that interest you, or chatting. I know it can be tempting to feel discouraged, especially when you see videos of people who seem to speak 6 or 10 languages like it's nothing. But here's what I've learned, and I'm telling you this because I wish someone had told me earlier. Comparison is the thief of joy. We all start from different places, and it's so unfair to compare your day one to someone's day 10,000. Some people are naturally good at languages, and that's amazing, but if that's not you, that doesn't mean you're failing. Some of us take a slower road, and there's nothing wrong. With that, I promise if you keep showing up, you'll get there. The only person you should be comparing yourself to is the version of you from a month ago or a year ago. Are you better than you were then? That's all that matters. There's this idea out there that language learning should be fast, that there is some magic shortcut or app that will make you fluent in a few weeks. But deep down, I think we all know that it's not true. Learning a language is a massive time investment. It's years, not months. It's years, not months. And it's okay. The process itself is what changes you. The time you spend learning isn't just about reaching fluency, it's about discovering the way you think, how you communicate, and how you connect with the world. I have some useful videos in a playlist about my personal methods for learning English. I'll make sure to put the link in the description below so you can check it out. One of the biggest lessons I've learned is that fluency isn't the finish line. It's not about ticking off a box and saying, I'm done learning now. It's alive. It's always growing, always evolving. Even native speakers are learning new words and ways to express themselves every day. I used to have a notebook where I'd write down new words every time I read a book in my first language. Yes, I'm talking about my first language, not even a foreign one. Don't pressure yourself to rush through the process. Enjoy it. Enjoy the little wins. Like understanding a podcast or music you couldn't just a few weeks or months ago. Or being able to express a thought in a way that feels natural. The moment where you surprise yourself are what make it worth it. I'll leave you with this. Focus on the journey, not the destination. Don't worry about how long it takes. Worry about whether you're enjoying the process, whether you're curious, and whether you're growing. Because that's what really matters. How many hours does it take to learn a language? The answer is as many as you need. And that's okay, whether it's $600 or $2,000, whether it takes you 2 years or 10. The important thing is that you're moving forward, you're growing, and that's all that really matters. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and share your language learning journey in the comments. I'll see you in the next video.